Some years ago, I said to my congregation, one of them, I said, what if there was a man and he kept breaking into a neighbor's shop and stealing food? He'd keep stealing food from the neighbor. He'd keep doing all kinds of things to the neighbor in terms of theft. How would you do it if the man is a deacon in your church and you find out that he's doing these acts? How would you treat it? And of course, everybody jumped up. Yes, Pastor, tell the truth, Pastor, that's a thief. That man has to be dealt with. He can't be a deacon in the church. And I said to him, you know something? How do you feel about stealing light and water? Now, this is always a bomb question for the Jamaican public. It solicits a lot of anger. People do not see it as stealing. Unfortunately, a significant percentage of our church population use light and water without paying. A large population in Jamaica does it in general, and a significant percentage of our church population. Some of the church people who do it, some of them are on the choir, some of them are deacons, some of them are regular members. You may even have some pastors who do it. Now, how do you deal with that? Is it correct? Is it right? When we ask these questions, we get all kinds of answers. People say, well, we're not really thief it. Some people see it as using it. And of course, there's a common response. All of them are thief anyway. JPS thief like what? And you stop and you say, my goodness, come on now. You have never paid a bill in your life. How could JPS thief you anything? Even if it robs the paying customer, how could JPS rob you when you have never paid a light bill? Some persons, this is a huge question. Let me backtrack a bit. Some persons started paying, ran up a bill, and then stopped. Did a illegal connection. Now, as Christians, we're going to have to examine where we're going, Is this really right? And, one response I get sometimes is, well, me can't afford it. Sometimes people don't really say it out, but me now don't want to pay a light bill. Christianity, wow. God, our response to God, our faith. Listen to me now. Where is your Jehovah Jireh? We go to church, we sing the songs, and we come home and steal a light. We go to church, we sing, hey, mommy, daddy, oh, and we sing Jehovah Jireh. We come home, we steal a light. And if the pastor confronts us, me not have no money for pay. I know one lady, you know what she did? Because she did not want to have an illegal connection, she turned off her lights, electricity, and lived in darkness until she could legally connect it. That's what she did. That's integrity. It is clear that church will have to speak out. In our church, it has been churches, plural. It has been a very complex problem for years. We have had to make rules about persons wanting to serve in the church while they're stealing electricity and water. Now, you want people to come to church because the doors of the church are open. It's open to everybody. But in terms of appointing them to the praise team or to play instruments or to be an usher, I think that's where we have to draw lines. We took it so seriously that we went down to the Jamaica Public Service to inquire, how can we get people's lights and water legalized? We took it so seriously that we went to the Jamaica Public Service and inquired as to how we could get people's electricity legalized. Because we realized one of the obstacles was the whole wiring process. It's very expensive to wire a house. And, through constant going along with other advocacy from elsewhere and even their internal examinations, JPS now has a situation where a person can wire one room, get that one room inspected, and become a legal client, a legal paying customer. Later on, you have more money, you can do the rest, right? And imagine you don't have to pay another inspector's fee, as far as I know, right? So we need to, as Christians, do much better. I think that's one of the biggest hindrances to progress in the Jamaican church. Can you imagine you going to prayer meeting? The room full of praying people. The prayer man them are wax hot. Everything's hot and nice. But when you look, 40% of those in the room are stealing electricity and water. Sometimes more. You know what is happening too? It's becoming normalized. People think this is the done thing. People accept it. People say, everybody will do it. Some of the communities I go in, when you look up, it's like crochet. You know crochet, old-time crochet, when you take a needle and do this, it's like a web. Because almost every house has electricity wires strung illegally. And so when we live in these communities, we begin to feel, it's normal. What we have begun to do when we go into those communities, we bring a generator. Because over time, we've realized we cannot confront these people if we are saying, okay, we're going to do an open air meeting here and we're borrowing their stolen light. So we bring a generator. Church, we have to do things differently. If we expect to be heard by God on critical issues, the Jamaican church has to do better. I do not remember what percentage of electricity JPS says is stolen and NWC in terms of water. I don't recall the percentage. All I know is a lot. It's enough. In some communities, it's as much as 70%. No, this is not free now, brethren. This is not free lights. Guess what? It has to be paid for. Who do you think pays for it? The paying clients. Because whatever is used, JPS is going to divide it out and the paying clients pay it. And so some people immediately hear them thinking, well, them can't afford it. And that immediately gives them a right to steal it. No, you are a Christian. You made a decision to accept Jesus Christ. You made a decision to carry your cross. You must trust your God to pay a light bill. And if he doesn't pay it, then you take up your cross nonetheless and you follow him. If for some reason, for a season, you have to have no electricity, you will not die. There have been people in my church who have done it because they have integrity. I could never live as a believer, day in, day out, and steal electricity. So here we come now on the matter of big businesses. And some people will say, the big man, them do it too. Indeed, you're right. And that doesn't make them right. That doesn't justify the situation. All persons must pay their electricity bills. And there are big businesses who either siphon off some of the light free. In other words, they might pay a light bill, but they have ways of wiring it. So a part is stolen and a part is going through the meter. That's wrong. That is wrong. Whether it's done by big business, whether it's done by the individual, it is still wrong. And so we must begin as church to reckon with it. You know, I find it sad that some pastors are not dealing with this crisis in Jamaica. Because to me, it's like an epidemic. It's like a huge pall. Let me find another word. It's like a huge cloak over the church, right? Because I'm not even dealing with the people who are not Christians, you know. I'm dealing with church people, members of churches, committed Christians. It's very important. No, I say to my church, I say, okay, so you do that. How do you then go witness to the ungodly man out there? How do you tell him your God is a provider? How do you tell him you shouldn't steal, you know? Or, how do you raise your children? How do you raise them in an environment like that? How do you say to them, you know, you mustn't thief? How do you tell them when you go to school, you must honestly do your test? You must not look on the other child paper. You must do your test fairly and squarely. How do you teach your child to have integrity? This is one of the biggest problems for me in Jamaica, that we have a thieving population in terms of utilities. I do not believe the situation has been addressed by the companies and the government enough. I don't believe they've done enough to make sure it doesn't happen. It's very difficult to deal with, but it can be done. And I've seen JPS making some moves in some communities. Whatever it is, people, we have to reach a stage where we realize this cannot be the way to live. Jamaicans are going to have to deal with it. Christians, we have to get up and come out of it. I know in some churches, if pastor speaks about it, it's trouble. You vex off with pastor, You say, pastor, you're right. You can't jump in off your big car and go over here or your house. Me not have no money. Me not have work. My pick them have to go to school. No, one of the things we did at some points, we offered help in wiring houses for our congregation. So what we did, we lent money to them to wire and get everything in order, and then they pay it back bit by bit. And for some of them, it worked. You would not know the celebration when somebody comes to church and says, guess what? My house is finished. It's inspected. I have legal connection. You feel like a big triumph. That's where some of the hallelujahs need to come. Hallelujah. I am no longer stealing light. I am now legally connected. I am no longer stealing water. I'm now legally connected. This thing is draining the country. One thing I'll tell you, some of the people steal light and water. They use it more than anybody. Every light on, light line the driveway, light here. They don't turn off the fans. They have AC units. Come on now. And a lot of people who steal light and water, they have all the money in the world to buy the biggest flat screen and everything. We need to be careful. And so I'm admonishing the church of God, the people of God, to deal with this issue, to address this issue. Let us truly have righteousness. I know there are other things. There might be even some things I'm guilty of that God will have to deal with in my own life. But the fact is we're on a journey, and this is one of the milestones in the journey that we must face, Jamaican church. We must stop thief light and water. This is Pastor Helen Ann Brown. It was good being with you for another week. I pray God will bless you, and I pray He'll bless you with faith in Him to cleanse you and to cleanse myself and to walk on in righteousness, wholeness, and truth. Remember to walk righteously with your God.
KairosNow is a production of Kairos Network. If you need counseling or you're in search of a church home, give us a call at 876-977-9667 or 876-970-3812.